right, welcome to another Deal Structure Sunday, guys. It's Chris Pree, and today you're in for a treat. I am with our business partner, Peter Taunton. Peter, welcome first, buddy.
Hey, Chris, how are you?
I am awesome, and just for some context for them, Peter, Peter's been on some past shows with us, guys, but if you have not had the opportunity to, or the pleasure to meet Peter via video, Peter is, yes, he's a partner of ours now in both Smart Real Estate Coach and Wicked Smart Finance, which you'll hear more about at our upcoming several events. But in addition to that, just for some context, Peter built one of the largest fitness brands in the world, 28 different countries, 6,000 franchises. There's that and a whole bunch of other reasons why we've teamed up here. And I know you guys are used to seeing these deal structures where we go through the 3 payday trademark system. But this deal's different. I would suggest that you sit down and be ready to be a little bit mind blown here with what we're going to go over for a deal. And I hope it does do that. I hope it makes you think or helps you think a little bit bigger, not just with Peter's background, but this little deal that he did. Peter, so you came in and flew in and met Zach and I for the first time at the hotel, and you just nonchalantly told us about this deal in Africa that you did. I would love you to start at the beginning, and I might interrupt you if I have questions, but and talk about what you did at the hotel that night, because it was really cool learning lessons in there.
No, sure. Well, you know what? I think the punchline, before I get into it, I think the punchline, Chris, is that deals can rear their heads so many different ways, and so many. I think you have to have an open mind, and sometimes you kind of back into deals by default, and that's essentially what happened here. I was approached by a good friend of mine, one of my best friends actually, to get involved. I had gone out to Africa with my family as a gift from making a donation to the Ronald McDonald House, and so my family and I, we go out to Africa like any family would, and we just have this amazing time. It was beautiful, and then about 6-8 months later, after getting back, this good buddy of mine says, "Hey, Peter, would you have any interest in getting involved in a camp in Africa, a luxury lodge in Africa?" And I said, "Well, which one?" He goes, "Well, the one that you stayed at." And I said, "Well, how much money, how much capital are you trying to raise?" He goes, "Just a couple $100,000. I said, "Are you going to do it?" He says, "Yeah." I said, "Well, you know what? If you're going to do it, I'll do it." And honestly, that's as much due diligence as I did. And that's probably not anything to brag about, but you know what? Sometimes you got to bet on the horse. And this guy was a good buddy of mine, one of my best friends. So I said, "Let's do it." Right. So I put the 200,000 in. There's 5 of us, 5 investors. And we take this camp. Now we're in the lodge business, and we're the business is not cash flowing. The whole idea was where everybody's going to put in 200,000. We're gonna build this camp, and there's going to be a lot of demand. All good. Well, what ended up happening about 8 months later, the guy who was heading the project comes back and he says, "Look, we need to raise capital." And I said, "Well, how much?" Obvious question. How much capital we need to raise? He said, "Well, we need to raise about $1.5 million." And I said, $1.5 million. Now, think about it. The original capital raise, they thought it was going to be $1 million, and there was 5 of us each putting in 200,000. Now they need $1.5 million. Well, 3 of the 5 didn't have any means to put any more capital in. All right. So they looked to me to put in the 1.5. And I said, "Guys, I don't want to do it." I had the financial means to do it, but I said, "I don't want to do it because I don't want to be in the lodge business. If you guys default, I'm going to own a lodge in Africa. And I don't know the first thing about running a lodge in Africa." Anyway, make a long story short, these guys, they went around and around. They couldn't find any capital. So that buddy of mine, the original guy that came back to me, I said, "Hey, look, I tell you what, I'll put up 750 if you put 750 right beside me." Okay. Now he didn't want to do it, but he did it. Right. And I went to the rest of the group, and I said, "Look," because I've never seen a bad spreadsheet. So this thing was showing up and to the right. Can't lose. Look, I told him, I've never seen a bad spreadsheet. So obviously, but I want you to know something. I can separate church and state really easily. So if you guys don't pay me back my 750, I'm going to take the lodge. So just understand what you're dealing with. And so they all said they all understood. We sign off on the paperwork. I put in my 750. My buddy puts his right beside it. For 3 years, They didn't make a payment. Okay.
I
They didn't
didn't
make
get all of this. This is even better than I thought.
no for 3 years. They don't make a payment. And it got to the point where I said, guys, I mean, first few months, nothing goes by. I'm being patient, right? Because you know, I'm not only I'm the bank, but I also own part of the lodge. I own 20% of the lodge. So I want to be a patient. I don't want to be a bad banking partner. And I said, look, I'll give you some extra time. Anyway, this goes on and on. And after 2 years, I say, guys, now this is getting offensive. Now I'm offended by it because you're just completely taking advantage of me. Well, it took me a year of litigation, okay, in Tanzania. And that's the other thing you got to think about. So when you're looking at deals, when you're working in a third world country, it's not as easy as, hey, look, you're in default. This is going to be easy. We're just going to go in and flip this thing and we're going to do a deal. So anyway, it took me a year to get control of the business. So now my partner and I are 50-50 partners. And he thinks we're done. He thinks that, okay, well, now we're going to build it from here. I turned to him and I said, look, it's a 3-star lodge. It's a 3-star lodge. I don't want to be part of a 3-star lodge. So let's do some improvements. He goes, well, what do you think? And I said, I think we're going to need about $1 million. So let's each put in 500. And he's like, whoa, right? And I said, nope, 500. We each put in 500, and we improved the club. We put in an infinity pool. We completely upgrade everything. And even at that point, so now think of it. We're into this thing for 2.5 million. And that's why I always say, look, you better have patient money. Okay. You can't be over levered. I didn't get a loan for the what it is, the 1.25 I've got in it right now. Yeah, we didn't get a loan for it because you can't get a loan in a third world country. It's not going to happen. Right. So you got to take the cash right out of your mason jar and put it right on the barrelhead. Right. So that's what we did. And now through struggles, literally, just when we started getting momentum, what happens? COVID, of course, right? We were just we ran this lodge for 5 years. I've never pulled a dime out of it. We're just getting to the point where 80% booked, okay? Which means this lodge is on track to drop 600,000-700,000 to the bottom line, okay? For the first time, I feel like I'm going to start getting a payday. Along comes COVID. Within 30 days, we went from 80% occupancy to zero. All right. To zero. And now think about it. It gets worse. You have zero. So you have zero revenue coming in, and you've got about 50 employees. All right. So I said, look, what are we going to do? And so you want to keep people around. There is no such thing. You can't, with the employees, you can't furlough them. Furlough doesn't exist in Africa, in Tanzania. Right. So the bottom line is we kept pumping some people on. We started by saying, look, we got to send people home. Well, we send people home, and this is the compassionate side. We sent people home. Some of the people looked at us and they go, Peter, I have nowhere to go. Okay, this is a third world country. They look at us, tears coming down their face. I have nowhere to go. I'm like, oh shit. Okay, so here comes Softy, Peter, and Jim. We say, okay, everybody stay. Okay, we're going to feed you. So we just had try to keep them busy. You feed them, but we at least gave them a roof over their heads, a bed to sleep in, and food, right? And so that's what we did for a year. Now today, as we sit here, we're at full capacity. We're at capacity right now, and we'll be at 100% capacity till probably December. And then next spring, we're looking good. We're right now, we're currently about 70% booked, but that'll fill in. So patient money, my gosh, Chris, it's been 10 years since I've owned this lodge, and I haven't pulled a dime out of it, but now, and I've got about I probably have 1.5 million into it, and Jim has about the same. And but we're going to have a payday. We're going to start pulling money out of this business this coming season, which is, it's longer than I expected, but you got to have patient money, and you got to be able to weather the storm. That's why I'm a big fan of, I always talk about, don't ever over lever yourself, because the future, the only thing predictable about life is its unpredictability. And there's some truth behind that. I don't care if it's in your personal life or your business life. You know what? Stuff happens. And sometimes you feel like you're getting blindsided, but you got to be able to weather the storm.
So the only common thread, because I warned them that this would be a different deal, right? The only common thread is what you said, don't over leverage. In every deal on this channel on the Deal Structure Sundays tells them how to do deals, as you know, with no money or $10 for a lease purchase or a few thousand for a sub two deal, but essentially no money. So
Yeah,
that's
and I
pretty
love
cool.
that. And I'll be honest with you, Chris, when I joined you and Zach's team, when you said, yeah, we do real estate deals with nothing down, I couldn't even get my head around it because I'm thinking to myself, who would sell a property with no cash, no currency, no tender exchanging hands? It just didn't make any sense to me. But then as I saw these deals come across, I said, well, okay, I can see where there might be some unique circumstances and some shrewd negotiating on your and Zach's part. But then, the other side of it too, which is, obviously the Wicked Smart Real Estate, but then the other division that we started, Wicked Smart Finance. I love that because as many deals as we're doing, there's just as many deals that could have been done with just a few $1,000s down. So that's why we started the Wicked Smart Finance to allow everybody that's part of your fraternity, part of your club, give them access to capital so they don't have so when they have a deal that requires 10, 20,000 down, they've got a financial partner that'll participate with them. I love that
Yeah.
personally.
No, and I'll give you a nice update publicly here. We just
Yeah.
20 minutes ago did a deal structure video, and it may or may not precede this one, doesn't matter. But it's with one of our high six associates, and it's the first deal with Wicked Smart Finance, which you knew we tied up, but they actually are negotiating with their buyer who's coming from California to move in this weekend, and it's not a long-term deal. It's probably a 9 or 12-month deal. So cool update for you. We got our first Wicked Smart Finance deal done, and they just heard that they can do them too.
I love it. I love it. That's great. I mean, and that's why we put it in place, right?
Yep.
That's why we put it there. And as we do more of these deals and get momentum, we'll deploy more capital. We'll make more capital available. And I think it's a real bonus for being part of the Wicked Smart team.
Yeah, absolutely. And let me put a big explanation of that, Peter. Thanks for the reminder. So if you're out there and you're not in the Wicked Smart community yet, you haven't applied for associate level yet, that's okay. Understand that the Wicked Smart Finance is going to work with right now just high six associates. Maybe we'll open that up to other associates, but we'll have our hands full with just that. Because as Peter said, I'm talking like the best of the best students we have said to us, and this is how this came about, hey, Chris, yeah, I did 12 deals. Brian O'Neill comes to mind, $1 million by now, a little over probably in 3 paydays. But I walked away from 5 or 6 that maybe needed 10 to 30 or 40 grand. Those 5 or 6 deals are worth about 50 to 250 each that he's letting go. And so that's where we come in. So I encourage you guys to, if you haven't already, get involved in the community, show up at the weekly Wicked Smart sit-downs every Thursday at 4 o'clock, and learn more about what we're doing here and changing lives and doing some really cool deals. Peter, thanks for being on, buddy, for this deal in Africa, which isn't a normal deal structure. So I hope it get everybody's mind thinking, and thanks for being on with us.
No, hey, you know what? It's my pleasure, Chris. Keep up the great work, and I'm excited that the first deals come into full fruition. That's fantastic. Congratulations.
Thanks, buddy. We'll see you soon.
You got it. Take care.